Hello. Welcome.
I've been old Prescottian double clutch here. Let's go.
I'm starting it. I'm keeping that bit in. Hello. Welcome to the Wargamer. I'm your host, Rob. I'm joined by Mr. Val Helfelfinger, who's my co-host for the show known as, insert title sequence, Squarebast.
Breaking news.
Breaking old world news. Incredibly
fast news.
So hello, we're joined by the Twitch chat, and we are today going to be talking about the development diary update from Games Workshop. Now, I know what you're all asking yourself, Rob, what the hell? Rob, what the hell are you talking about? Well, Val, before we get into that real quick, how are you?
I'm doing good. I particularly enjoy that you are now capable of little effects like speaking more into your microphone or being a bit further away from it. It's great. It's great. We get you. It's like you're three-dimensional now.
I hope the audio is fine. I am using a new microphone, so if you do have any audio issues and you watch this back on YouTube or Twitch, do let me know. But yes, I'm trying harder to improve the quality of the show, So a lot of people would say, leading question, a lot of people would say, Val, I don't know how you feel, that creativity and in fact pride in your work requires you to iterate. Like you need to not
it's like
just
the fifth logo.
Exactly. You need to not just sit on your laurels, reaching back into the trunk of terrible, or maybe not terrible, but like past ideas which are worn, weary, overused, outplayed, and instead create and push yourself forward as a creative. This seems to be, Val, the literal essence of the journey of the creative. I'm not sure what your thoughts are.
Well, I mean, wearing sunglasses as a talking head on the internet. I mean, that's as fresh as a daisy. That's not derivative or played out, used multiple times, or just hiding my tired eyes. No.
However,
only smart things.
However, we have been told in modern times that we should take more chill breaks. We know 4-day work weeks are coming. We know everyone is
not to the United Kingdom. You guys are going to 6.
we're getting kids back in the factory, mate. Yeah,
debtors' prisons are coming. Come on, 5 days. Come on, you can push that a bit. They're going at least 5.5 days.
We've already got like 8 to 12-year-olds doing Tesla internships down the factories, down the solar panel factories, just working away. Although we're actually bringing back coal. Great news. But yeah. I
was worried for coal.
I was worried. Well, maybe this is a uniquely British problem. How does this relate to the old world? Well, dear listener, friends of the show, if we go over here, we have the old world development diary on bases the Barons of Bretonia. So we're going to go through this big news. We're going to go through this line by line, but some massive chop it up. Yeah, talk it through. Some massive news has been dropped on us. Loads to discuss. And Val, I think maybe the most important and most relevant element is that we're getting old miniatures back.
Well, I mean, long exhale. Wow. So, in my 40K life, I think one of my most notable personal takes, I don't know if anyone else noted it, was before 9th edition came out. We did a little show called 40K Jason Show. On that show, I broadly proclaimed that there's no way Games Workshop could possibly fail at this app that they were announcing because it was too important. It was too important of an element that couldn't possibly launch 9th edition without a functioning app. And boy, howdy did they ever. They launched one of the most terrible apps of all times. Maybe if it gets fixed now, who knows? And
there's a new app. There's a new app, isn't there? Coming.
There should be a new app. There should be a new app coming.
With a new edition cometh a new app, cometh new problems. It gets too bloated, and then a newest app comes. Like
this is the third edition. So the first app was 8th edition. It was completely vaporware. Second app was 9th edition. It sort of exists, and now 10th edition, third app, new you. New edition, new app, new you, guys. We're doing this. The reason I'm saying this is that previously, every one of my friends has been like, "Oh, they're just gonna re-release all the old models," and I'd be like, "Shut the up, man! There's no way they're just gonna trot out models that were already old when they were taken off of the shelves."
Mm-hmm.
Like the old world is like one of the only examples. Sorry, the end of 8th edition is like one of the only examples of Games Workshop actually like tidying up its shelves and being like, you know what, this is garbage. I'm just going to take this off the shelf. Finecast is not worth selling to people. It's cruel. We're just going to take this away. And then what happened, Robbo?
Well, similar stories also happened in Age of Sigmar. They released the Khorne Dragon and new Chaos Dwarf miniatures at the beginning of Age of Sigmar. They're like, Chaos Dwarfs, fuck yeah, we're into those. Here are some new minis. You're like, wow. They were like, Khorne Dragon? Can't believe that. That's like a Warlord Titan, but specifically
Huge.
and uniquely only for one faction in the game. Very weird take, lads. You want to sell... They're like, we could sell this to 26 different factions. They're like, what if, though, only one? Makes sense. Yeah. Like, I remember going into a Forge World Open Day and I was like, hey, listen, I know you've put a couple of Khorne symbols on there, but why don't you just scratch those bad boys off? Then you can sell it to every fucking person. And they were like, yeah, but it's Khorne. I was like, you are stupid. Like, you want to make zero money, which really like follows on with my Games Workshop don't like and make money. That's gonna be one of my talking head videos. That's gonna be one of my highly edited talking head videos. Why Games Workshop hates making money.
Can I get like an EP credit on that? Or at least consulting
writers room. Do you want to get in the writers room on that one?
Fuck yeah, man. Like, add me to that. Throw me on that Google Doc. You can use my real name and everything.
Okay.
I am ready for that. Yes, it's the amount of times they've been like, no, we don't want your money, peasant. Actually, just take this instead.
But we also do want your money.
We also do want your money, but only from the people who are willing to look us cold in the eyes while we shovel this into them. And that's me. And so that's good. But I just wanted to speak out about it while I get ready to receive the incoming.
So Forge World, new world development, Age of Sigmar development, new miniatures, and then quietly discontinued over the past year and a half. They just didn't say anything about it. They were just like, also no. And you're like, by the way, I still have a Khorne Dragon. Any rules for this ever? They were like, what if we had no communication about it? You're like, okay, fine. Okay, this
Khorne Dragon never even got rules.
It had got rules. Then the core rules for the 3rd edition of the game said that you couldn't have a unit over 1,000 points. Well, because if you play at 2K, and then they were like, what if the Khorne Dragon was 1,050 points? Which, if they'd have made it 990 points, it would have made no difference to its efficacy, right? At that point, it's ludicrous. Anyway, like. The bit that we're alluding to is that they've been a bit shy and not shy with getting rid of stuff. And then when they do and don't get rid of stuff, like the old world, like the very end of Warhammer Fantasy Battle, where they deleted everything and then they did not communicate about it publicly, they have now said what the old world will look like. And boy, oh boy, it's the same fucking models as it was years ago. That is what we're seeing. The same models.
One of the things that's probably the most triggering about this is how, like, there's a lot of baloney about why the old world didn't work out or why Warhammer Fantasy Battle's 8th edition, needed to be taken out behind the woodshed. And one of them was that it just wasn't selling, guys. We tried our best, but it's not selling. The issue with that line of argument is stuff like Bretonnia, which was wildly unpopular, had a model release, I think, in the year 2004. That was it, 2004. And then nothing. Bupkis. It was over. That's 6th edition, everybody. It ended in 8th edition. Imagine going 2 editions. I mean, maybe this happens in AOS, but 2 editions in modern GW life without getting any new models. Now, we do know that the Bretonians do get new models, but I mean, I immediately hosed myself because my buddy reached out and was like, see, look, old models, I told you so. Tech Beer Sticky, shout out. And I was like, no.
Dicky.
Immediately I start rationalizing. I was like, buddy, look, those are all the plastic kits that existed, okay? So they're just gonna reuse the ones that were already sort of okay. He's like, what about that trebuchet? and like blood drained out of my face because I didn't notice. I did not notice.
For podcast listeners, we are looking at the article available on Warhammer Community with a picture of a trebuchet in the back. Listen, I know we've got so much to say.
It's all bottlenecking at my mouth right now.
Yeah, I know.
There's a hose of all sorts. Because there's also excitement in here too, and I'm also mad at the community about how they're reacting to the base sizes. So like, there's a lot of yelling I have to do here. So why don't we try and let's put some rails on this, and you tell me to shut up when you need to.
No, I'm with you. I want to go straight into this element because I think every element of this needs to be explored because I think that's fair.
So many layers here.
Yeah, loads of layers. But the bit that should be explored the most is with the trebuchet kit right at the back. Is this just like a small farmhand playing a lute sat on a wheelbarrow? And I ain't hating that. I'm not hating that at all.
Also, who's the fat guy in the front rank of the peasant mercenaries? I've never seen him before. I don't know. Maybe I don't know my Bretonian plastics, but I don't know who he is. Is he like the unit champion?
Yeah, I think he's the unit champion, the captain or something. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, he is the best lad. Give me an army of him. Okay, so what are we talking about here? So just to be clear, and if you've never listened to any Old World show, and for some reason you listen to it at this point, Warhammer Fantasy Battle. Welcome. Warhammer Fantasy Battle ended about 7 years ago, roughly. Right. At that point, it had a bunch of miniature ranges, some of which made it into Age of Sigmar for a little bit, but eventually got discontinued. Several of those ranges, as Val pointed out, were incredibly old. Like, they'd been sculpted over 20 years ago. Some of them have been updated, some of them are in plastic, which is kind of like the stuff you would buy like modern Warhammer in, your plastic kits. Some of those kits were fine cast, which was a failed experiment in developing ways to like print and manufacture miniatures. Some of them were even metal, so old, which is still quite an effective process for producing stuff. A lot of companies around the world still do it, but you had loads of processes and problems as a consumer with metal. Models would break quite easily, paint jobs would chip. They're generally seen as like an older form of technology. So many of those miniatures done away with. Leading up to the new Old World, many of us are obviously expecting new miniatures for these ranges, because why would you release a bunch of old miniatures that are they were dated at time of extinguishing, is kind of the point. So I think that's a fair summation of where we're at. And then
they were dated at the time of extinguishing, and they were extinguished because they weren't selling.
Yes.
So, let's put all that needs to be put out. The official line is that this game was not selling. People weren't interested in them. And I say, well, maybe it's because your model kits have mold lines down the middle of everyone's face, and you've got to scrape mold lines off of very hard to reach places. These are kits for people who really want it. We take for granted how good things got with their models. They actually they said we're the best model making company in the world, and they actually kind of did that in a lot of ways. They're certainly one of the best. Not in these days.
So I mean, the old. Let's just put a pin in the. Let's kind of give you the highlights for everyone listening and the stuff we're going to talk about today. Highlights are in the kind of story in this article is that old miniatures are returning. I'm almost certain there are new miniatures still on the horizon because it does say that in the article. So that's exciting. So we'll talk about that in a moment. And the base sizes on some miniatures, what they were previously on, are changing and they're being upscaled. A lot of units in the old world, well, in Warhammer Fantasy Battle when it was, were very difficult to what we call rank up, put next to each other because of the shape of the miniature. So those are the kind of headlines from this article. And then we'll deep dive them as is. Val, I'm going to throw an early pitch, because the question is why the old models? That's the question, I think, initially. And my pitch is that we have been fools. Yeah, we've criticised Games Workshop for a long time, not necessarily understanding how to make money, not really understanding how to build processes, not being able to get whatever that program is that makes it so you know what your stock levels are, all of that stuff. We were like, lol. But what if, unbeknownst to us, they just bought a warehouse, and then when Alan Merritt was like, get rid of fantasy, I'm done with this, yeah, cheek still burning from the Chapter House court case, lying abed at night, crying, thinking about his time in court and how no one believed him, yeah, when he came thundering in and was like, "Destroy this, ruin it from the earth." There was a smart, clever Games Workshop employee who was like, "I got this," like, and they just bought.
There's a band of monks in Games Workshop that just buried all of the extant stock of Gold World.
So
they've been trickling it out on eBay ever since. That's how Games Workshop has made money. They've just been selling World Warhammer kits in shrink on eBay. That's how they did it.
I think the opposite. I think they've kept saying, like, they've turned around, like, the manufacturing reports. I feel like it's the head of manufacturing. He just warehoused tons, and I'm talking tons, a warehouse full of Warhammer Fantasy, old school Warhammer Fantasy, just warehoused it away, sectioned it off.
This is Games Workshop. He his housed it.
Yeah, no, yeah. He just sectioned it off, and every time they're like, "Listen, we got you more warehouse space. Like, why can't we make enough Space Marines?" He was like, "Oh, I don't know, geez. Like, we've tried to make as much room as possible. Like, I promise you." And then he just waited. Was in coffee room meetings. Was like, maybe bring back the old world. Yeah, and as it slowly percolated. Kits that they made in 2014 just built up dust, and then they generated so much wealth. The company exploded, and now, upon the release, this man is sat there like, "Oh my God, I am about to make billions of dollars." Because they would have cost 5p.
He's going to make the same £25,000 a year as he did before.
But that would explain everything. Why manufacturing could never keep up. Why warehousing could never keep up. Yeah,
they're just clogged up by old world models. I like this theory.
They were just getting the lead. They were just like they were baiting us. We thought 40k was the game. They flipped it back on us. Yeah.
No, they were going long on miniature speculation. The thing that I love the most about this is, like, one of the side squeals on the internet has been, "Take that, scalpers. Take that." Because these Bretonnian kits, if you want to buy them new and shrink, are, like, tremendously collectible at this moment, especially in the old boxes and stuff like that. And if you want anything that's new right now, you're paying. Actually, I really, really would wonder what the retail comparison number would be, but maybe double retail, probably somewhere around there on a lot of this stuff. And so now obviously it's coming back. First of all, it's going to come back probably at a pretty high price point. But secondly, GW's not going to make enough of this shit. They're going to be sold out immediately, and then the scalpers who just clicked and bought more on the internet immediately, they're going to start profiteering almost without skipping a beat. I told people to sell before because I thought these kits would be replaced by pretty new models. Well, hell, now I suspect that the same old models are suddenly going to be just as, if not more so, expensive, because how are they possibly going to prioritize making this dude instead of, I don't know, the new Primaris lieutenant?
Thank you, Elron Hubbard, for donating 300 bits. Also, all hail Zotan, or whatever it is. Yes, so a great question about manufacturing and other stuff. But I guess the real question to us is, okay, why is this surprising as well? Okay, a lot of people are going to say, I'm really happy to see the old models brought back, right? Nostalgia for them. There was something that they wanted purchased. This is like someone saying back, like, we're going to bring back, like, the 2000.
It's made to order.
Yeah, someone's like, we're going to bring back the 2004 Mini, and you're like, I don't care. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you don't, like, the very concept of re-releasing these might be good for your nostalgia, but it's terrible for like, as a business. In my opinion, it's a terrible choice, because really what you're saying is like, we aren't going to invest in this new venture, even though there is a incredibly popular computer game based on this, like, so much more popular than almost anything.
Who also remade all your sculpts already?
Yeah, who already redesigned these for you so they're nicer. Like, M&G can get me nicer prints than Games Workshop can. So like your argument about I'm happy to see them re-released in the line is just you saying, like, I like the stuff in the old days, and that's fine. But I don't really give a fuck about that as a new game system with 5 years development or whatever they've had, to be like, we've just written some core rules, here's all the old minis, lol.
So Yeah, the thing. So first of all, as a guy who actually had literally just was like, all right, I'm gonna pick up an old Bretonian army. Like this is the most recent one I picked up. It's fully painted, but that's why I picked it up. It was fully painted. But I was like, look, probably gonna be upset about this when the fancy new ones come out, but who cares? This is fully painted. It's done. I can use it. Now I don't care. And that's great. But like the biggest problem I have with this is just that to me it's setting up a situation, especially because they're not leading with their hotness. They led with old instead of like, look at how cool this is. They're setting themselves up so many to fall down a bunch of holes that they claim were what killed them the first time. One, like I said, was that things weren't selling. Well, it wasn't selling because there was nothing new, and that's straight up the truth. Two, they believe that this IP was not defensible enough. So there's this perception that like this is just a guy riding a horse. This needs to be I don't know whatever version of a guy riding a horse is in the AOS. This horse needs 6 legs or else we can't copyright it or whatever. And also that's even before 3D printing was a thing. They were just worried about dudes in Poland like casting stuff in their like garages and stuff. So like now there's 3D printing everywhere. If I'm like Lost Kingdom Miniatures who make beautiful Bretonians, you just probably made me $1 million. I swear to God, like you just probably made me $1 million. And like they're just giving that away. They're just giving it away to people who have made beautiful new dynamic sculpts. This is classic. I love this model for a lot of reasons. But it's not because it's the best looking version of a guy riding a horse, which is kind of what Games Workshop's super good at now, making really good models of stuff. Like look at these, like I love those. I love these models are really, really great until you could see potentially what GW would make now. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, like
it's only good because we haven't seen what they would do now. And you can see what they would do now because 3D printers exist.
The 3D versions of these, like the 3D printer versions of these, which again, please do go and check those out, are so much better. It's like overwhelming. I mean, we could talk about like okay, so I would say like
this photo you have up right now has so many things in it that we need to talk about.
All right, let's do that. Let's do that. One. The Trebuchet one with the old people. Right, okay. So let's just talk about this. They're releasing a game now. We haven't yet got to. They're going to be releasing some new minis, which is really great. Yeah, and it kind of like before we get into the weeds, I think what they're going to do is they're going to release a whole bunch of the old minis, some of which like we still use the dwarf minis now, like in Age of Sigmar, and they're like 5 or 6 years old, like or maybe like 7 or 8 years old. So like they're still pretty viable in some ways, but like there's a bunch of stuff that they're going to be able to that they did right at the end of Warhammer Fantasy Battle, which we are going to describe as modern, but to launch the advertising with old sculpts for the end of Warhammer Fantasy Battle is hilarious, like in my personal opinion, and I'm pretty certain that there'll be a new Louis Loncoeur, which will be in like plastic. Oh no, it won't be a Louis. It'll be not Louis. It'll be someone else because he's
the Orc Slayer.
Yeah, it'll be the Orc Slayer. So there will be the launch box will be Bretonia versus Tomb Kings. There'll be a new character in plastic. There will be some new
Grail Knights, maybe.
Yeah, new Grail Knights. Yeah. A Grail Knights on foot, or the guys that they have on foot, pilgrims or whatever they're called. I very much expect those to be plastic kits. So we will see a plastic.
So here's
range.
A question. Here's a speculative question. And by the way, there's so much about this particular photo I want to talk about because it's a lot of weird stuff happening in it. But do we think now? Because I thought you asked me this 2 days ago. I would have said, "Shut the hell up." But do you think there's gonna be old minis in the launch box?
No way.
Could that be possible?
Fuck no.
Could that be possible?
Fuck no.
Could that be possible?
No. Don't put that voodoo on me. Right.
I didn't think it was. I didn't not even entertain it. But like, first of all, okay, that trebuchet right there, that model was originally made out of pewter, and God knows what that's made out of now. It might be fine cast, which is it's just a nightmare. It's a nightmare. And blurred out in the foreground, though. This is the one that really throws me for a loop. This really throws me for a loop. You see those blurry silhouettes. Do you know what those are, Rob?
I unfortunately do. I don't know if you want to get me the link, but I'm almost certain that those are Orcs and Goblins greenskins, and they might be Wolf Riders.
They are Wolf Riders. They are not the new Wolf Riders. Those are Wolf Riders. Those are Brian Nelson OG plastic kit Wolf Riders, guys. I sent on WhatsApp. I sent you like a couple circled images yesterday.
One second, I'll find them for you.
But so that to me, so that could just be not only are they Wolf Riders. I think those might even just be the ones from the original box art. But like, those are like old Wolf. That's like 20th century plastic, I do believe. And they are they're not the ones from Underworlds, and they're not the Mongolian hobgoblins that came out most recently. Those are the old ass Brian Nelson Wolf Riders.
And when were they sculpted?
Those would have been the same era of the Victorian Wolf Riders. They'd be similar era to the Night Goblin kit. There you go. So there, you see that guy with the little spear in the air there?
Yeah, baby.
That sure looks a lot like the fella in the foreground. So it's possible this is just photography going on here.
No, these look. I would like to, like, for the podcast listeners and people who might not know, I want you to know these look like unadulterated shit. I think I have almost no creative talent, and I think I could probably not actually green stuff anything together ever. But I reckon I can make those. I legitimately, no Dunning-Kruger about it. No Dunning-Kruger. I can do that.
Look. For the record, these are some, like, to me, personally, to little Simon / Val. Ooh, tip my hand. But that's how deep we're going. We're going back to when I was a real person here, guys. That's how far back these models go. Before the internet, when I had a real name given to me by my parents. Wow. I loved and inspired these models. I have some of these in a drawer. These models, they don't look so good now. That's the difference. Can we this is actually a really nice example of, like, do we have an example of what the new kit looks like?
I'll do that for you.
The Underworld. The Underworld kit is actually the 1-to-1 conversion of this, not the newest Wolf Riders that came out. But yeah, those wolves actually are a lot older than even the guys riding them, because those are the very disinterested and sad wolves that I don't know are also pulling an amazing chariot. But so again, these are nostalgic, but they aren't like something that, like, someone who's even played, Total War Warhammer 3 for 2 days straight, 8 hours a day at least, would recognize as great models. They are items of nostalgia, and they are cool for their day, and I really loved them before. But, like, here's an example of what those kits might look like today.
Yeah, I think Vaquin in the chat has made a good point. I'd like to reaffirm. They probably have a nostalgic charm to some people, but the guts to sell these in current year means they're not just taken as serious as customers. Like, I would agree with that, like, wholeheartedly, like, with my chest. Like, the very concept, like this is, like, and I still am very excited for Old World. Like, because I'm a 3D printer bro. Like, I can play Bretonnia as if Games Workshop sculpted New Bretonnia, and maybe even better than New Bretonnia, because the 3D printers I pay will get the money directly, like the sculptors directly to them. So there's no middle management to pay for. I already get the Bretonnia that I want, but just not from Games Workshop. So, and as Val said, that's just making other people money consistently. But I don't think so much money. But now my mind has changed on Old World. Like, I thought they were like, look, it's clear you all love this setting. We're just going to sell you some stuff. We're going to get creative. Like Necromunda. They're like, we're just going to get spicy. We're going to make some weird shit. We're going to sell you some weird shit. We're going to have a good time. This, to me, now is the greatest cash grab we might have seen in miniature wargaming. This is...
I mean, that's hyperbolic, but...
like, I'm talking like, this is worse than Knights of the Gaming Table. Like, this isn't pop-up terrain.
On the contrary, I think this is a big cash giveaway. I much prefer.
That's a nice idea. I like the flip. Go on.
This is a cash giveaway. This is them saying, you know what, actually, let's just let this one slip through our fingers. Like that, like especially with, so if they had turned around and the high elves range, or like, I don't know, I'm trying to think of things that kind of got not most stuff got redone in 2 waves, in 6th edition and then later on in like late 7th and early 8th edition a little bit. But so there were a lot of plastic kits and stuff. If you look at this, for example, the sprue of this kit in front of us here, these Bretonnian archers, there's 3 guys. There's 3 guys of sprue, right? That's because the reason is they're literally sculpted by hand and then laid out on a sprue, and then they cast it off of that, right? So like, it's not, this is pre-CAD. So like, even stuff like how like fat everything is in their hands, and like all of the weapons that they hold and stuff, they're really thick holes and things. It's because they couldn't design like really fine details like that. Like on those wolf riders we were just looking at, you could see how the lance is properly proportioned, all that kind of stuff. But so I think what this means is that people, especially folks who maybe own these models already once upon a time, they go straight to 3D printing because that's what they've been doing. And then like folks who are like me, who already have a cabinet full of Bretonians, well, there's no real reason to upgrade. We can get to the base thing, which might be a dubious way to sort of encourage some turnover. But like, it's just, I don't know, man. Like, it's just a super bummer. This is a cash giveaway to me because this means third parties and old models are what you're gonna see.
See, but you are a treasure, number one. What a cutie, spinning it in the positive, yeah, where it's a cash giveaway. Like, but they did not obviously. So what? Just to reiterate for people, I don't think he's stupid. I'm just like, I like to be clear, making the points, make sure I got Val's point right. Is that he thinks no one's going to pick this stuff up. People are going to pick up other stuff that's like more valuable or better sculpts, effectively, yeah, or from other companies, and so it is a cash giveaway to other companies, but. They never sat down and were like, we're going to do that, right? Like, intent is what I'm discussing versus effect. I agree with you about the effect that it's going to be a cash giveaway, but the intent was like a cash grab, right? It was we're just going to sell you the same old shit again, right?
So,
like, that's pretty rough. That's pretty rough.
So, like, I mean, again, I'm going to come at this from my empathetic creators and creatives and people who are trying to, like, you know, execute a brief they were handed at Games Workshop, which is basically, okay, guys, go launch this wildly complex game with 30 years of tradition. You have no resources. Good luck. So how do you do it, right? And so what this says to me is, you know, this is like a real passion project, and they're doing it in the only way that they can, which is to go back to the trough of all the old stuff. Because that's what they've got to do. They were, I guess, they were given some budget to buy some new bases off of Green Stuff World, but that is, where they're at, and that's what they're projecting to me. Like, I mean, Tomb Kings are a good example of this. Like, their stuff, I think a lot of their line got redone coming into 8th edition because they were one of the first armies out of the gate there. But stuff like their core troops, like their skeleton warriors and things like that, and the Tomb Guard, those remained old as hell. So maybe that's what gets rebooted.
So
the thing is, the Bretonians have their entire line is like that, and now we can definitely see that a good chunk of it is just going to be the same as it was.
So let's just break down some of the ecosystem and the ecosystem and economy around sculpting, because there's some comments in the chat specifically from El Funko, just like, and not that you're not wrong, kind of wrong, but like, I just want to address it. Like, so we actually know what the economy is now for sculpting, as in CAD designing files, and how many can get sculpted and put online and available to print or put into a manufacturing process. We at least know what that process is, because we see it all the time now, from the very popular since Warhammer Fantasy Battle went away to now. We know that Games Workshop have picked up, not Games Workshop, we can now subscribe to a Patreon, and they will have a sculptor, maybe 2 sculptors, and they can knock out what we would consider an entire army range pretty much a month. Yeah, like pretty much a month. So,
well, I mean, in GW's defense, they don't have tooling, so they don't have to then actually
agreed. Yeah, they don't have
like logistics and shipping and all that stuff too, right?
Yes, yeah, I agree with that. Yes, of course. But they already have the process of tooling because they make miniatures all the time, and they
They're
already
really
have
good at it.
and they already have shipping because they already have shipping, which they're not that good at, not so good at, right? So all those things already exist. So we know that the designs can be fairly like you can pick up a couple of cheap designers for 25k, right? Bang them out and start making. I feel like it might go along so like I don't think it's actually that expensive a ecosystem like to create just for everyone at home. It's wildly expensive for Games Workshop, just to be fair. Like, this is a company that gets third-party, independent contractors in to do jobs that they never pay them for. Like, that's in modern times, in, like, 2022. They are weak source on investment in almost every factor that we've ever seen. So they don't invest and they're not excited. So this is just really put like an emotional like damper on me for a big time. The only hope I've got is that they Blood Bowl it. So the launch of Blood Bowl was a big deal to Games Workshop, but when they launched Blood Bowl, there were literally millions of independent like Blood Bowl teams and stuff, and there still are to this day out there in the wild. And all they did over time was they just kept releasing more, like they kept replacing them. They were like, look, here is the new version of these. Like, and then since Blood Bowl launched, because they've launched with 2 teams, they just replaced all the independent ones over time.
They didn't sell the old ones though. They didn't put the old ones back in the web card.
I think they might have done. Did they not do it?
They've done made to order tons of times for all kinds of, and even including for like for teams that say that they've already made, like Blood Bowl is such an amazing example of this. Actually, this is a really good way to like talk about the difference between their quality. Is like if you look at like the teams that they've released for Blood Bowl compared to the old teams, like there's no comparison in how good they are and how they go together. Their push fit anyway, it doesn't matter. But what they have done is for nostalgia's sake, like I think I've seen Chaos Dwarves and like old elf army, old elf teams and stuff. They will do made to order sort of releases so that you can get some of the old stuff if that's what turns your crank. But when they launched Blood Bowl, they didn't launch every single team that ever existed in Blood Bowl. They incrementally released teams, and they did made to order over time. But the new stuff was all that they ever had consistently in the web card, if I recall.
Yeah, so maybe they just think that they need to release all the old minis to create an ecosystem where people are playing games. You know, where they're like, we want you to have the old minis, and we're going to be replacing them over time. What's disappointing is, and I mean this really seriously, is they'll take the old Dante model, and they'll make it look exactly like a new Dante model that's basically exactly the same. Like, and it'll just look like whatever. There'll be some new Space Marines coming, which will just be some of the old Space Marines before. So they have no problem with it. Like, I really struggle with the new Tyranids, the new Termagants and Hormagaunts. Like, someone's like, these are new, and I'm like, they're not that different. Like, they're identical, is my point. So they're willing to upgrade those lines, like, in line, like almost identically, but they're not like, yeah, we can't do anything with a Bretonnian Knight. We solved that in 2000 and like whenever, no, 1908, whenever these were sculpted. Like we solved that. We did the perfect sculpt, and we're never changing. And that feels weird to me. And also, you're also leaving money on the table. Everyone already into Warhammer, like they're like, I think, in fact, actually, I don't think that's true. I think everyone into Warhammer, they're like, haha, you'll buy this again because you have remember berries. And then everyone in Total War is like, you don't know any different. Yeah, you're goons, and we're about to take your money. Like, it just feels predatory. Like, I was super hype, and now I feel it's predatory.
Imagine you had like just the such like probably the biggest untapped market that Games Workshop has access to from a model perspective, right? Like they got lots of ways
other than maybe D&D.
Other than but D&D or just role play in general, but like the volume of models that you could potentially sell to Total War folks who like for years now have like been like, oh man, this was a tabletop game. All right, let's check that out. Now you're gonna sell them your worst stuff, and I just mean like from like an experience perspective, like the experience of putting together this stuff sucks. It sucks. You need a lot of special skills to put together a fine cast trebuchet. And it's not going to look like, so like all of the lunchbox letdowns that used to be part of the hobby, which they have done legitimately so much work to smooth out, including like having models that, yes, only go together in one way. Well, that makes things a lot easier if it's the first model you've ever put together, in my opinion. And like including things that hide mold lines so you don't have to like go deal with it. You know, and on top of that, like once it's built, it just looks so dynamic and like amazing, and like have the movement and motion that you're used to seeing on your computer screen. Like all of that stuff. Now you're gonna get a box of Bretonians, and you're gonna open it up and you're gonna see like some very open, empty sprues, and you're gonna be like, what the hell is this? You're gonna get a trebuchet, and its arm is gonna bend in like all 3 dimensions wrong. It's gonna be twisted, like the timber is gonna be twisted on its axis, and it's gonna be warped on both ends, and you're gonna be like, what the fuck am I supposed to do with this? And it, you know, like to us,
there's just an old man on a couch in Forge World, like, welcome to the hobby, bitch.
Yeah, and like for some, like that's a feature. Like honestly, like for some, like wrestling with fine cast and learning how to like make it work and fix it, like that's part of the crunch. That's part of like actually one of the things that makes you feel part of the club and stuff. But to a lot of people, it's just gonna like be a boner killer. It's gonna be like, why am I doing this? And so that's why I'm disappointed.
I'd love to know what the chat think. I'm with you. Like, and it's hard to make a podcast about something like and do a show. So thanks to everyone for listening about something that you're excited about, and I'm still excited about. But this is an absolute like gut punch. And why is it a gut punch? Well, because quite arguably some of the best sculptors and designers, or at least a company that houses them. Don't forget, it's Never Games Workshop. Those designers are human beings whose names we don't know. But Games Workshop pays some incredible designers to build and generate beautiful sculpts that we can play in our fantasy miniature war game to bring the game to life. And they're like, we're just going to sit on how it used to look, not how it's going to look. And I get it. Like even these product shots, everything is an old world vibe. You know, we've got the flock grass basing, we've got the trees, we've got the little like polystyrene hills, we've got those old trees in the background. Like this literally, if you didn't say Warhammer Community over the top, this could literally be a photo from 30 years ago, pretty much. Yeah, that they would have put out. Yeah. Maybe slightly
20 years ago,
yeah, maybe slightly more green knocking around or something. So I get it. They're like, we definitely want to we want to recapture that look, but that's, in my opinion, a misstep. You need to be saying, you can push this further. You have the creative talent. Maybe you don't have the resources. That's very fair.
That's it.
Like, yeah, and you're right. It's going to be they haven't put the resources in. They'll have put Bucko on his 19 grand a year paycheck, sat him in a corner, be like, off you go, kid. Yeah, redesign the old world. And he'll be like, any new minis? They're like, fuck no. Like, but I do know that there's a launch box. I do know that there's all brand new art on the launch box. I'm pretty certain that new launch box is full of new minis. I'll find out by next week. That's my goal. Like,
is there old minis in the launch box? Like that's so.
It can't be old. It can't be.
I can't believe I'm even wondering. I can't believe it because I've yelled at people like, oh, they're just gonna re-release all the old minis. There's not gonna be anything new. I'm like, shut the hell up. Why would they ever do that? Like that's literally words I've said. You know, like why would they ever just like especially so the launch box might be able to let me cling to some semblance of credibility, but like yeah, like this is wild. Yeah.
No, I just wanted to answer Tarquinix in the chat instead of typing it out. Mm-hmm. But yes, just to be clear, Games Workshop do have the resources, as in they have the cash flow and the money and the income to do this. You're absolutely right. But they don't utilize those resources. Instead, they pay that money for a snappy, well, not for a painting presenter anymore, but like I assume they pay for like other things which are like incredibly expensive middle managers. I'm not sure. But not these people. That's what I'm going to say.
We've had a previous episode was a speculation episode, which I actually don't know if it ever made it to podcast, to be honest with you, which is too bad.
Definitely did.
I don't know if the speculation one made it.
I think
did it make
so.
it?
Yeah. I'll double check. I'll double check today, and I'll go through everything.
That's fine. You don't have to. It's okay. It's your day off. But nonetheless, like, I lost my train of thought because I got derailed. Anyway, I know what I want to talk about. Sorry, guys. I believe on that was one of the questions was, is it possible to screw this up? And this is one. So I would say this is one way you could screw this up. I will return to. This is me being disappointed in Games Workshop. Big surprise, but that's okay. Again, it's all right. The question to me now is it possible for them to screw this up? Because fundamentally, we are still going to get some new models, and we are going to get new rules. The thing that makes me sad is that this maybe makes it so that Old World isn't super obviously sustainable. We'll see.
Well, yeah, I mean,
that's what gives me pause. Is that like this might just really suck a lot of the air out of the room, and like people won't eat it up like I would have hoped.
I agree with you, and also like there's also the potential that this already lengthy podcast about this singular article is just incredibly bad PR. Like they could have just been like, there could just be, because on the Friday we heard they were like a big announcement from Old World today. So like we talked, because we're recording this on a Saturday, and I was like, oh my god, we're going to see new minis. And I'm sure at Warhammer Fest we're going to see the launch box, we're going to see new minis, we're going to see that whole process, right? Yeah. So that's going to be a thing. But this is like, why also show CAD files of new miniatures you're designing, and then the first time we see minis ranked up like this, they think, yeah, we're going to show you these goblins from a million years ago.
Not only that, but like the thing that so again, just so gut wrenching, is that these are this isn't even just like, well, okay, we'll round out some of the like more like edge models for the range with old kits. These are core pieces. These are the peasants. These are the bowmen. These are the knights of the realm. These are the only heavy support, like the only like range support that it's got, the trebuchet. Like these are essential pieces for a Bretonnian army, and they are not being redone. So like that's a big bad bummer. Anyway, the thing that's funny too, I don't know if you are ready to segue off of this.
I'm ready. I'm ready.
What the internet is actually upset about. So this is what everyone should be upset about, but actually, yeah, you're on the right spot right now, which is what people are upset about is,
well, no, because they're conjoined, right? I agree with you. This is what people are upset about, and if you want to give us the headline about what it is, but they're literally joined, because if the first bit was a bunch of new minis, then the second bit is unrelated. Like, but to explain what this, like, do you know what I mean? Like, but anyway, tell us about the second bit.
So, to the surprise of no one who's been anywhere near me on this topic, or anyone with a brain, the base sizing is going up. So we may not, people who aren't familiar with this, the basic size of infantry in Warhammer Fantasy battles, their squares were 20 millimeters wide. Your small infantry circle for every other thing in 40K and Sigmar now was 25 millimeters. So large infantry, so like your bulkier guys, your Chaos Warriors, your Orc boys, these types of your Seraphon or your Lizard Men, Source Warriors, those guys would be on 25 millimeter bases. That was the large infantry base. What they've declared is that actually we're going to go up a notch. So 20 millimeter is out. So their smallest base size will now be 25 millimeter. So that immediately on its face, I think is a wonderful thing, because I do find that even the guys designed for the 20 millimeter base size were real crammed on there, and it's hard to get them to rank up without going insane. This is actually a really nice quality of life thing, just from a modeling perspective. And I do agree with Games Workshop that bigger bases make models look nicer. It also implies, as Rob was just talking about, that the reason they're doing it, and they talk about this article also has interior contradictions, which just made my brain hurt, which was, we're not increasing the scale of we're not going to increase the scale of our miniatures. They're going to match with the old ones. However, we need to make the bases larger because our models got bigger. You smell burning plastic? Because I smell burning plastic.
So that means new models.
So that means new models are bigger, right? And like, so the biggest example of this is that if you look at the new skeletons and new zombie kits, like they are, again, we're talking about like in these days, all they had was like the squat pose. Like everyone's really always hunched down. It's like they're all just like trying to take a poop. But now you have like really cool dynamic movement and like the sort of the implied sense of dynamic movement that you do from like the new skeleton guys is awesome. But because they're so shambly, their feet go to the edges of their 25 millimeter base. So like to get those skellies to fit on someone shelf loathing doesn't like new models zombies. I do like new zombies.
I like the new skeletons. I think the skeletons are dope.
The skellies anyway. The point being is that they take more space. Like they just take more space, and they're also taller. So they're 32 millimeter. So that's why you have to make your bases bigger, is because your new models from the new ranges are bigger. And now you're putting old models from old ranges on bigger bases, and I'm just confused.
Do you think it's going to be? Do you think it's going to be Hero Hammer? Like, do you think it's going to be they're going to just grab everything they can from AOS and all their old world designs, like the Warhammer Fantasy about like these peasants, and then they're going to be like, cool, all we're going to do is stick a few character heroes out of Forge World. Is going to be what our main production is. I know what you're saying, like our new minis, but I think when they talk about new minis, someone in the chat said about Saurus, which is a good point. There's no way you're buying old Saurus when those new Saurus are available, right? Like, that's just not what you're doing. And they might not even sell old Saurus. They might be like, if you want to play Lizardman in Old World, you get your Saurus and your Slan from Age of Sigmar, and then you buy yourself some square bases, right? Like, that might be what they do, right?
So okay. I want to close off actually one thing, which is why people are upset. I'm gonna go into some reasons why people should be upset. I'm gonna cover why people are upset, and everyone's like, "Oh my god, now I have to rebase everything. I have rebased it from blank, and now I have to rebase it to this." So let me just allay your fears, because the Warhammer community people who have had their heads ripped off by competitive players all the time on the basing issue very kindly wrote that, if you're playing at your house, you probably won't have to rebase, obviously. But if you're going to a tournament, you might have to rebase everything, which was really stupid. They should not have said that, because you don't have to rebase, guys. You don't. This is a game where the models are wound counters, okay?
Yep.
The footprint, the base of the model.
Correct.
The base of the model in Warhammer Fantasy is the movement tray. It is the footprint of the entire unit. And these models are getting they're getting bigger, not smaller, which means they can take up more space by simply leaving space between them. You can do this by adding like spacers on your movement trays. You can paint bigger squares on your movement trays so that you know exactly how wide they need to be. But you do not need to rebase a single effing thing if you don't want to. The only reason you shouldn't have to rebase something is if you want to, because by the way, it looks better. Okay, that's my opinion, but it looks better. I personally am currently building a Vampire Counts army. I've known about this, not known, but I've known because I can see with my eyes. For a long time, I'm basing all of my stuff, and this is a lot of stuff, a lot of zombies, a lot of skeletons, on 20 millimeters because it doesn't matter. It literally doesn't matter. So please stop it with that. However, did you notice that they didn't say how big the large bases would be? So if you look at the cavalry, cavalry is on a larger base.
Yes.
Now in Age of Sigmar, Rob,
yes,
how big is a large infantry base? What's the width on that in Sigmar?
I would say the standard, like I'd say small is like there are 25 mil smalls or 28 mil smalls, 28 mil smalls. Like, well, we have so many now. We've got 25 mils. There are still some, but those are holdovers. I don't know if anything in modern memory has been. I don't know if anything in modern memory has been released in 25s, because even Hobgrots I think are on 28s.
That's fascinating. I haven't noticed that.
So I would say like the small / standard. I guess 28 mil is our small, and then 32 mil is kind of 32. Like is regular.
32.
if that's the right. New zombies and new skeletons are on 25s. Okay, thanks, Rob. So there's the 25s,
25s,
28s,
32s.
Yeah,
25. So 28s, I guess, are sort of the new 25, which kind of sucks, because again, you can go bigger in a game like this, because again, you can just make your footprint wider by spacing your models out, but you can't go smaller. So if you are an AOS model on a 25 millimeter base and you're a small infantry size, you now don't need to rebase your circle to play the square game. However, if you're 32 millimeters and these fucking new large squares are 30 millimeters, you're too big. And that
what have they not? Have they not said
so
that?
mad.
Have they not said how big the large bases are?
They haven't said how big the large bases are, but I'm gonna go ahead and bet some money that, because again, in most square-based tabletop games, you don't do 32 millimeter. That's a Games Workshop thing, I'm pretty sure. You do 30 millimeters. So if you're buying your bases off of Green Stuff World,
25 is 25. 20. What was 25 mil is now 30 mil. You can assume that I directly know that from source.
There you go. So now, if you want to like cross-pollinate your Sigmar to your again. How to not make money by Games Workshop. Now your models are too big, and that is a problem. So your large infantry, your Chaos Warriors, for example, those beautiful new Chaos Warriors on 32 millimeter bases, they will be too fucking wide, I bet.
Okay.
And that sucks. That's what you should be mad about. That's what everyone should be really pissed about, is that the circles are going to be bigger than the squares. And why? Why?
Oh, man. Can I take my old armies to organized play events? Sure. But organized play events will probably require armies to be based appropriately for the new game. Organized play requires some standardization. It's the best way to do it. Will we be able to buy bases? Yes. All models in the Warhammer Old World range, including returning models. Returning models will be supplied with correctly sized bases. We'll also be selling. I mean, that was the bit that like stabbed me in the heart at the end. Returning models, because I was like, maybe this is just all bait and switch. Maybe this is just like, hey, we're just using some images that we got from the past to just kind of like let you know. Right, let's try.
We're upset for the right things, I think. At least we're seeing the why you should be upset matrix.
I think it's super fair when, if you go back, listen, if you've watched this, and you're not going to watch it to this point if you're like, they're being so negative, but if you go back and watch this, the past few like episodes, the past few weeks, the past few months, me and Val hanging out and doing this, like talking about it, the hype has been we've been vibing on a level, and the reason it's disappointing, in my personal opinion, that's super okay to say, is because the very idea the old world would get the love it finally deserved, because it didn't get the love when it was Warhammer Fantasy Battle. It didn't get the support, it didn't get the love, and there's money here. Someone in the chat said earlier, listen, I'm never buying those miniatures. I'm going to 3D print ones that are great. But if you'd have made new Bretonian sculpts from Games Workshop, you'd have thought about it. I'd have thought about it. You'd have got me you'd have made me think about it. You'd have got, because I'm ready to buy off you. This is not you are a weird company, because I get it. You started marketing, and you didn't actually start marketing, just FYI, apart from paying Henry Cavill. But like, you didn't actually start marketing. You just were like, we actually have product, and put it on the internet, and then people were like, holy shit, I'm going to buy that. Right? That's great.
I've been doing mental push-ups around like being like, okay, because I'll have a thought like, okay, I'm going to buy everything. I'm going to buy the books. And then in my head, I'm like, that's going to be a $150 book, dude. Like, are you going to buy a $150 limited edition book? Are you going to do that? And like, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to do it. I'm going to commit. And like, but like, I'm preparing my brain for like, this is a stupid thing to spend money on. And like, this makes the this is stupid voice a little bit louder, which sucks. And I don't want that for this game. I want this game to be an amazing success. And who knows? They've done this before, which is trip all over themselves and still be wildly successful.
Well, this is what I mean. I agree with you. I think it will be wildly successful. I still hold on to that because this is going to sound really silly, but if you're a Total War computer game kid, yeah, and you see these derpy models, you're going to be like, well, they're models. They're meant to look derpy. And I'm like,
Maybe.
no, brother. No, brother. I just want you to know this. Someone in the chat said, and it was, who was it? I just want to make sure. Someone said in the chat, you guys have got me so hype for getting Anarchist Kobold. He was like, you've got me so hyped for getting a Bretonian army the past few weeks on the shows, and then Games Workshop have ruined it. And that's so weird that we're independently marketing a game for them, and they, as the company,
cutting our legs out. They're taking our legs right out from under us. We're not like lighting the world on fire with this show or anything, but 2,000 people interested in Warhammer Fantasy every week. That's probably as many people as were ever interested on a weekly basis in Warhammer Fantasy in recent memory. Okay, guys?
Yeah.
Including the end of 8th edition. So, come on, give us something to work with here, Games Workshop. This is just too much, man. It's too much.
Yeah, it's very weird. It's very weird. I mean, I don't know what to tell you apart from, and this is going to sound number one, let's talk about happy thoughts. I get to, once again, joyfully walk over to my 3D printer, just wiggle my little butt, yeah, tap it on the side and go, just go, you're so pretty, yeah, and then out of it will come sculpts far better than these, and that's nice, right? Far better than these.
I get to walk over to that cabinet and get a tray of dozens and dozens and dozens of horses and riders that are painted and ready to go, and never do anything with them, nor spend another dollar to Games Workshop's bottom line.
I can contribute literally fucking zero to the launch of this game.
Well
done, company. You've done an incredible job of making it so I do not have to enter your... If anything, better than anything, I try my hardest nowadays not to give Games Workshop money. Yeah, it's only my own personal... I have to fight my own demons.
Yeah.
I have to fight my own demons. I was in Warhammer World the other day, Val, and the new Necromunda book was there. And I picked it up in my physical hands, and I was like, I like books. I might get this book. And I was like, no, Rob, someone will just send you the PDF. And I had to have a 5-10 minute conversation with myself.
Talk yourself down from it.
I talked myself down from it because I was like, because this is a legitimately cool thing. I want to buy it. I want to read it. I want to have a little look at it. God, it's cool. Yeah, I had to talk myself down.
Something for the mid-show poo break. Perfect.
Yeah, exactly. Right? I thought this would be really good. You don't have to talk me down from not buying these. I'm fine.
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah.
We're good. Literally already have it. Already have it.
I appreciate that. Okay. But there is going to be new Bretonian sculpts, though. That launch box will be new Bretonian sculpts. And are you excited for that still?
Of course I am. I'm excited for all of this. Again, fundamentally speaking, there's no way that they can mess this up for me personally, because I'll always have 8th edition, babe. It's always there. It was never taken away, and it's always there. There's always other ways to enjoy this game. If the rules really, really suck, and surely someone, maybe more than one person even, has been working very, very hard on this, and for a number of years, hopefully as a part of their full-time hours of employment, not just in their spare time. I don't know how it works, but I'm hoping that the new rules will be interesting enough to get people out and playing the game. And now I definitely have armies that will work with zero effort, and that's great.
Well, I mean, apart from, by the way, this is the leakiest ship that's ever existed in all of maybe Warhammer. Maybe even more leaky than 40k, which is very leaky at several points. But, it's like everyone in Nottingham was a Warhammer Fantasy Battle player. Then they switched over to AOS, right? We all know each other. And then they were like, what if some of you are playtesters? And I'm like, literally, we're all the same people. Who are you talking to? And they're like, no, don't tell anyone. And I'm like, we're all friends. There's literally a fantasy community in Nottingham. They're like, shh, don't tell anyone. So anyway, a weird day. I'm hoping that this has been like a nice emotional talk through, because I mean, honestly, I'm looking at this the one shot horse on the community site, and it is trash. Like, could I paint as well as that? Or no way. Yeah, no way could I paint.
I will say that 3D sculptors also seem to like horses must be very hard because I think like they're just something that people script all the time.
Yes,
it's actually it is something that again the Lost Kingdom Bretonnian line does really really well. Is the horsies? I think they look wonderful and powerful and dynamic. However, those their men at arms on the Lost Kingdoms sure shit will be about a head taller than these men at arms, which is hilarious. So they will, and that's even if you scale them down because these guys have gigantism in their hands and faces.
So what can they do? What can they do to not that you're not back? Because I like what you said. Like personally, they can't affect you. I love that statement. I think that's great. Like they personally, and that's something we never think about. We never talk about enough. Personally, they can't affect me. But what they can say, and I'm just bringing up a Lost Kingdom Bretonnian sculpt now. I mean, hold on.
Yowza. Yeah, want to get an idea of what we're missing out on? Games Workshop doing something like that.
Yeah. Like,
jeez.
Like, just saying. Like, what is it that you are still... I'm actually still excited about finding out about the setting. One of the things I'm really enjoying about playing Total War, and the reason I always reference Total War when I'm doing this, is I'm literally inside the setting. I'm capturing places, I'm finding old bits of lore. Like, I was hanging out where Imric hangs out, and I was like, I took over one of his areas, and there was like, this is the dragon gravesite, and I was like, yeah, all right, okay, this is cool.
I'm also, thanks to Rob, I'm working my way through a dwarf campaign right now, and I just watched Drazoth. Like, I saw Imric like saunter over to Drazoth because I had a spy in his territory, and like Drazoth's just absolutely shit mix Imric. Like Imric like waltzes up and like, oh shit, Chaos Dwarves are going down. Imric rolls up and like, no, just a cloud of dust. Imric toast. And then in the north, where Astograth is, I see like I'm like, oh shit, here comes Grimgor. Because like Grimgor had invaded a bunch of like little satellite territories, and then like I look back 2 turns later, ain't no Grimgor there anymore. I think he did.
He did.
Chaos Dwarf, he's crushing it.
Yeah. These, by the way, this isn't Highland miniatures, although they are great. This is Lost Kingdom miniatures. These are great sculpts. I'm excited. I'm still excited for the lore. I now am a little concerned about the longevity of the game, and also its support base. I feel like this has already been a massive misstep, my personal opinion, in the PR. Like, if I was relaunching this, I would be working super hard on the PR. This would be going into a lot of meetings about the right way to strategize this. As we know, it's just 2 coffee-addled crack addicts, not actual crack, as in like plastic crack, who are just like keen kids who have got themselves a social media job, who just writing some articles. Bless their hearts. So like, there's no strategy meeting about this. It's just put an article out. Let's go, which is weird.
And it is a bit weird and interesting. Well, we're in the mind like for what we're upset about. Very few people seem to be, especially from the community of people who still go on Facebook to talk about Warhammer Fantasy and Twitter. That group of people, they don't seem to be very upset about old models coming back, which is interesting.
Well, because like, I mean, like, I think it's going to be overwhelmed by the people who are hot, who are like, I'm excited to get miniatures that I used to get, but I'm like, if that were true, like, this is kind of like the pitch. There's going to be lots of people like, yeah, but I want my old models back, Rob. And I'm like, but you didn't buy them then.
Yeah.
Like, you didn't, or your community didn't buy them enough that you ended up actually making a game system that was viable enough that they wanted to continue to support it. They didn't shoot it. Like, and then if you did like them, you already have them, so you're not going to buy them. So like, no one is winning in this situation, my personal opinion. And so that's a weird flex for a business to take. But just prelude to our upcoming Why Games Workshop Hate Making Money article.
YGW literally just hates money. Or has a very unusual opinion on how it should be gotten. I'm
just quickly checking on the Twitter article, which tends to be a little bit not quite as grognardy as the Facebook posts. We've got some clarity. Can you clarify, please? Older models will return alongside the newer range. Yes, loads of classic miniatures will return along with brand new ones. So there are brand new miniatures that we've seen there.
Ooh, Green Knight.
Yes. Is there a Green Knight? Didn't say anything about Green
Knight. Are we going to see old models coming back,
like the Green Knight,
old character model like the Green Knight?
Quite possibly.
That could be something. Like the Lost Kingdom's Green Knight is absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, I mean they're competing with. Yeah, if we take the time to look at this on the screen, because I actually don't know. Like, I don't think they can actually do a better Green Knight. I'm just going to put that out there. I think it's done. Like, it's very rare I say that something is done. But I think the Green Knight is done. This is the Green Knight from Lost Kingdom minis. Like, it's all over.
Fantastic. The Green Knight, of course, is a ethereal horseback riding knight that comes from the forest, or like the nearest forest on the table, at least the current rules. He's really great.
So do you think
there's a couple different versions of it. If you actually buy it, that's not the only version that you can print. There's a print that isn't coming out of the tree as well.
Oh, yes, there is. Yeah. Pretty amazing. I love. There's a whole bunch of people showing pictures off online of their Bretonnian phalanxes
complaining
and
about
stuff.
Basing, so we're complaining about having to rebase.
Will basically be available to local stockists. I'm just not direct from website only. Really looking forward to this release. I was thinking about rebooting my Bretonnian army just end times were announced. So happy to be able to play Bretonnia again soon. I swear to God, if people are buying them old models, I'm going to fucking laugh a lot.
Not only are they going to buy the old models, they're going to buy so many of them that GW won't keep up. And the people who have the old models and that were scalping them will still be able to scalp. I said sell. When I was saying like sell everything, guys, it was because the assumption was that who would want to buy these derpy models when the new sexy ones are out. But now you're gonna have to buy these derpy old models, and they're not gonna make enough of them. So the ones that exist out there are, again, they're going to be as expensive, not more so than they are right now.
Exciting news for me, though, on a personal level, is obviously because I live in Nottingham, so there'll be a lot of Warhammer World, Old World events, but obviously no one's taking all their... I mean, the people I know won't be buying loads of old derpy models. So it means I get to run like the independent Old World events where I get to see actually beautiful, new, realised Warhammer Fantasy armies, which is really exciting. And I'll be like, wow, the hands and the heads of these models seem to be to proportion of the body of these models. This is so exciting for all of us in this community. This is great. I might even go to the Old World ones at Warhammer World to intentionally do kind of like a, you know that very famous, and at this point, like, I think not very well respected, the guy that went around and took pictures of loads of butt cracks at Magic the Gathering events.
No, he's not very well respected. Was he not being square-bassed? I guess he was.
I think he was not being. People. Yeah, he was shaming people. Wasn't being square-bassed.
But I mean, he was doing it in a hilarious way.
He got banned from Magic the Gathering events, I think, forever.
For a long time, if I recall correctly. Yes.
I don't think they would have been anywhere near as funny had he not done like hardcore poses in front of them.
I want the meta version of that, which is someone doing the same thing to him. Because he's clearly a guy who, when he gets low to do the pose with with people's butt cracks, his butt crack is 100% hanging out of his pants, like that guy. So it's not like some Chad doing that. Like, the guy knows what it's like to like have the cool breeze on the top of his butt. And so yeah, I want the mirror of like, I want like the Inception butt crack pose, like the cascade of people posing with the butt cracks.
Hey. I've just realised what I'm doing. I'm being an idiot. Games Workshop, great idea. Release those old miniatures. Absolutely, you've nailed this. Great choice. Just like anyone local to Nottingham or in the UK to know, once I've gone and found myself a merchant license for someone who makes sculpts similar, I will be selling more updated French knights atop a horse. If anyone is interested in the very real, as quick as I can get that on a fucking website, future.
Made to order, baby.
Yeah, we'll get you those. So if you're excited about the old world but don't want to buy old minis, just get in contact with the Honest Wargamer, and we'll produce those bad boys for you.
Tuck you right in.
Tuck you right in.
Things. Anything else that needs? Yeah, people are mad about the bases, which is funny because you don't have to care. But you should care about the fact that AOS circles are gonna be too big. So many things. But that's all right. We're gonna go bravely on into the future. I'm gonna play a game of 8th edition tonight.
Exciting. What are you playing with and who are you playing against? Dickie?
No, I'm playing against a friend of mine, a fantasy friend actually,
Nice.
from Tirana, named Tim, and Tim is a polyamorous edition player. So he plays 6th edition, he plays 8th edition, plays Warhammer Armies Project. So he's gonna play some 8th edition with me tonight. Wow. He's bringing, I think, Empire, and I was thinking I might try and scrape together enough of my vampire models to run vampire counts tonight. We'll see.
Okay, that's pretty good. That's great. I'm not playing. I will be entering the old world, but it'll be through the world dominating power of Drazhoath the Ashen. Really enjoyed. I just, again, as an odd kind of thing, I've played for 2 days straight the new Chaos Dwarf release. And
I tuned in right at the end of yesterday. Just sorry to interrupt. But I tuned in just to the end of the stream, like on the VOD, just to see did he die? Are the Chorfs doing okay? And the Empire looked good, but man, it looked like it was weighing heavily on you by the end. You were very tired.
I don't think there's an end game. There is an end times campaign yet. There hasn't been a timer set, so I'm looking forward to getting into it. It took. It's kind of funny. If anyone's not played it, there are 2 kind of modes in Total War. There's building your empire structure, which is kind of oh god, what would it called? Like a building simulator, effectively, where you're building empires, and then there are resources which you get via a bunch of different things. And honestly, it's definitely it's probably the most end game scalable army, i.e. at the end game, it becomes ludicrously strong, incredibly strong.
The dwarves?
Oh yeah, Chaos Dwarfs, yeah, stupid, because you can just almost infinitely upgrade them based on your economy. But the economy thing is killer. You've got to do a lot of management, and I was like, I get it, man. I get it. If I was trying to organize the Great Crusade in 40k or any of these other things, I would people would say to me look, we got to go to war. The peasants haven't got any good knives. I'd be like, fuck them. That's so difficult to organize. That's a lot. I don't want to do that. The economy is hard. If you're doing war, maybe economy is the real war, Val. Maybe that's the thing I've learned.
I think you just stumbled on that, buddy. I think you've just stumbled on the truth. It's all about production. This is why those dang Yankees are so good at the war.
Yeah, the war. A lot of production.
A lot of production, bud.
Yeah.
Big supply chain. Big chain. Supply.
Yeah. Big chain. So that bit was tough for me, on a personal note. But firing off some Dreadquake mortars felt like I was home.
You know, I had a particular cathartic moment, and I wish I'd saved the replay, which was chasing down Skarsnik at the end of a battle because I'd won, and just firing rock throwers or grudge throwers at him as he fled the battlefield. And he just get clobbered by massive rocks, and I was like, this feels good. For those people who aren't aware, I read Skarsnik, which is a fantastic book by Guy Haley, I believe. And Skarsnik's a very bad man. He's a very bad man who does very bad things to dwarves. And I am less sympathetic to the Goblin cause as a result. And
that seems fair.
And I enjoyed his demise quite thoroughly.
In the Total War campaign, you must pretty much we restarted it 4 times on the first evening. We went we got to you know how whenever you do a campaign, they're there's the army right in front of you you're meant to fight, and then the territory you're meant to immediately claim.
Mm-hmm.
So and that takes you 2-3 turns, and then it was turn 5, and I was like, right, which direction am I going? And it's at that point I made nothing but bad decisions for several hours. Just kept resetting it to turn 6. And then it turned out what you meant to do is just hire hobgoblins. Because you start with goblin laborers. Laborer. But then you've got to equip those goblins, give them some shields, get them some swords. So it turns out I wasn't really thinking it through. So goblins now kind of in the right place, but I am an evil Chaos Dwarf with a lot of labor. The amount of times I shouted over the past 2 days, "Get to the camps," is awkward. like you're playing the bad guys. Like I get it, but I was like,
really living in those shoes there. That's good.
Yeah, I killed some dwarves.
Cool.
Well, I battled some dwarves, and I sent a ton of them to the camps. And I was like, get in there, get.
The labor camps.
The labor camps.
Suddenly, labor isn't such a nice term anymore.
Yeah. Anyway, listen, if you've enjoyed it, and that was not very square bast of me, so I apologize, chat.
No.
Square bast.
But you gotta have the salt to be able to taste the sweet square bast.
Exactly. Thanks for tuning in. Do let us know in the YouTube comments what you think and how you feel, because I think this will be a spicy one. A lot of people have an opinion. And look after yourself. Stay healthy, stay well, and say #SquareBast.